Ladies and gentlemen, as a wise man once said, it's the most wonderful time of the year. Merry Christmas and happy holiday. Well, yes, happy holidays to all you guys out there. Hope you spent it with your family. Cherish those special moments. I know we did. We spent some good time. Did some activities. It was a good time. What do you rate Christmas this year?
Man, I'd rate Christmas every year as a 10 because it's the go holiday. And there's like the thing where everybody says, as you get older, Christmas just doesn't hit the same. But I'd say this is an interesting thing is when Christmas time comes every year, I remember all of the past years, and that brings me joy. So that's why to me Christmas is always gonna be 10 out of 10 because you think about, hey man, Christmas was great, and it brings back those good memories, Because I'm not thinking about Christmas every single day of the year, but when Christmas rolls around, that's when I'm like, damn, I start thinking about the past years and all the fun I've had and all the good memories.
It's the reminiscing that feels good.
Mm-hmm.
Thinking about past Christmases, thinking about past moments that you had with your family.
Exactly, nostalgia's powerful.
Nostalgia is very powerful. People
Very
exploit it all the time,
Mm.
which is very interesting. But on the topic of Christmas, just like you said, a lot of people seem to say the magic of Christmas dies as you get older.
Mm-hmm.
That's so weird to me because I think that you just think about Christmas wrong if it's dying for you. Because if you take Christmas for what it's supposed to be, right? Okay, let's ignore the religious aspect of it for a minute, okay? Let's just talk about spending time with your family, gift giving, all the regular festive activities, okay? If you're taking part in those, you'll feel happy and in the mood for Christmas. I think the best holidays are the ones that get you in a zone.
Mm.
While Halloween isn't a holiday or anything, but it kind of gets you in the zone. It's spooky vibes. Again, still not like my favorite, but Christmas gets me in the festive spirit. Everything's red, green, and white. Everyone's playing Mariah Carey's Infinite Money Glitch, and we're all having a good time. That is enough for me to feel happy for the rest of the month of December.
You know what I think is that as we get older, it's not that the happiness is fading away. It's that I'll say stress is increasing. As you get older, there are more things in your life that you're worrying about, and you don't see. It's not that you don't really think. It's that your mind is thinking more about those stressful things, so you have less room to think about Christmas and the fun things, which is a very scary dilemma about life. Is that the more bad things that you surround or you surround yourself with, the less space you have for the good things.
That's true. I mean, if you compare your mind to a memory card on a computer, there's only a certain amount of space on said memory card. And it's not even just about the amount of memory you have, but also your subconscious mind. It's constantly thinking, hey, how do I accomplish my goals? How do I work on the things that I want to work on? You might not notice it. I mean, it is called the subconscious mind after all. Right? You're not really paying attention to it. It just happens. But your subconscious mind is thinking about, hey, what should I be working on? Or what should I be enjoying right now? So as you continue to fill it up with junk, you have less room for what's important to you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you want to know why that's super interesting? Because the biggest way that you fill your mind up with junk is through distractions.
Yeah.
And there are so many distractions out in the world.
I'd say now more than ever, like especially with social media, the biggest distraction of all time.
Which is so ironic because we're doing this on social media, but
yeah, it is. Pretty
hey, at least it's long form content, so you're not murdering your attention span.
We make short form content too, though. That's the problem.
But that's just to push people here. But hey, listen, don't kill your attention span.
Yeah.
Try your best to focus on long term content.
Yeah.
Even if it's not here. I mean, yes, I'd love to have you guys around, and we want to take this journey of self-improvement with you. But rule number 1, take care of yourself. And more importantly, if you have something that you should be working on, don't watch this right now. Go do that thing first, and then come back and watch this.
I'd say it's so easy to find distractions nowadays,
Mm-hmm.
and they completely overcrowd your life. And what's really crazy is that nowadays, it's becoming that these distractions are almost not even seen as distractions anymore because they become normalized. Like, I'd say, hey, maybe you call me a villain, but I'd say sitting around watching 3 movies a day, that's a distraction towards your life.
Why would I call you a villain for saying
Because a lot of people do that.
3 movies?
Yeah, I know people that have watched over Like they watch more movies in the year than days in the year. I know people like that. And that's if there's like a couple specific people I'm talking about, and if you guys watch this, it's not a shot at you guys. Don't worry.
Okay,
But-
listen. That is absurdity. There is
I'm
no way
telling
that
you.
people watch more than one movie a day.
No, people do that because that's just I'd say the thing is you need to understand where do you draw the line between a hobby and a distraction.
Mm.
Because a hobby, you do it in your pastime. That's okay. In your extra time. That's what you should say for the extra things. I'd say first and foremost is family and loved ones. Spending time with them, doing things with them, that is very important.
100%.
Next comes your work.
Yep.
Believe it or not, it's not partying. That's not the next step.
Mm-hmm.
That's the second step is your work. Because believe it or not, we live in a society where work is necessary. And you live a life where work is necessary. Because without work, you're not going to get anywhere.
Well, yeah. I mean,
Right?
can't live with no dollars.
Exactly. And then comes, your hobbies, I'd say. The things that you do for fun. And sometimes your hobby could be going to a party. Like that's a hobby.
But that a hobby means you do it once in a while, and more importantly, it doesn't detract from your responsibilities. So if you're going out getting wasted every night and saying, "Oh, it's just a hobby to go out," well,
It's not. It's an
you're taking
addiction.
away. An addiction. That's another thing we'll get into later.
Mm-hmm.
But in terms of hobbies, I think that number one, there are a few qualifications actually about a hobby. First and foremost, I believe that it should enrich your life in some way, shape, or form. See, I don't see drinking as a crippling problem until it becomes a crippling addiction, right? If you go out and have a beer or, a couple shots with your friends every once in a while, I don't think it's the worst thing in the world. But if you're constantly going out to get wasted, spending all your money on alcohol, it's kind of an addiction and a serious problem. So first and foremost, a hobby should enrich your life. Second of all, you should do it in your pastime, meaning that you shouldn't commit time of your responsibilities to your hobbies.
Yeah.
Okay? And third of all, I would say that this is a suggestion. Try your best to incorporate other people in your hobbies, whether it's getting them in on it or whether it's, finding a time to go out and do it with them, right? Whether it's hiking, whether it's, going out to a park, playing frisbee golf, whatever it is, go out there with your friends and do it because at the end of the day, you only live one life. You only get one lifetime to experience these moments with your friends. That's why I love the holiday season so much, why I opened this episode up with it. Why? Because the holiday season gives everyone a reason to be with the people that they care about the most. And realistically, think back. When was the last time that you sat down with your family and spent some quality time with them that wasn't during a holiday or for a special occasion? Not very often.
Yeah.
Right? So because we have Christmas, we get to spend time with our loved ones. And that, I think, is a blessing. So at the end of the day, those are some qualifications you should be looking in your hobbies, right? Make sure that it fills at least two of those roles, So let's talk about addiction now, okay? Addiction is a very interesting problem because I think that an addiction, it always starts with something small, right? It always starts with the, hey, you know what? I'll go out. Exactly. Exactly. One time won't hurt. Killed literally every person who's ever had an addiction. And I'm going to talk about one that afflicts many of us, including us, by the way. We are not perfect in any way, shape, or form. In fact, this is something we are struggling with right now, funny enough. Video games. Crippling distraction and can be an addiction.
I'm going to be honest, I thought you were going a completely different route.
What did you think I was going to say?
Scrolling? This most viral addiction that's ever, I'd say probably ever, taken over the world. And you want to know why I think it's more dangerous than video gaming? It's because people don't see it as a distraction. And also, it's literally built to make you think you're not wasting your time. Why do you think, any scrolling app doesn't display the time? Because they don't want you to know that you're wasting that much time. And I'm not saying it's some big conspiracy theory. It's how they get their money, is by having people constantly on it. And again, I'm not saying I'm not fallible. I do this. I'm guilty of it too. But that is one of the biggest problems, I'd say.
Okay, see, the reason why I didn't do that is because I am not really afflicted with that, because what I do is I pretty much download the social media apps to post our content and then delete it. Like TikTok and Instagram, I delete them. Actually, I haven't started the Instagram. I should probably do that.
But I'm just saying, think about the fact that you have to delete them shows how deadly it is.
God damn it.
Because if it wasn't that bad, then you should have the self-control to keep it on your phone. But you don't, because you have to make sure there's no way for you to access it. That is an addiction.
Check.
Mate.
Damn. That was actually a very good point. That was a very good point. Okay. Yes, we'll give top spot to scrolling because that is actually destroying our entire generation.
It's so destructive because at least with video games, you can make the argument that you go on there and for the most part, you socialize with other people or you work your creative mind or even your critical thinking. Like, I meant it's kind of stupid when you think about half the streamers that play some video games. But take R6 for an example, or Rainbow Six. It's a highly skill-based and strategic-based game. You need to be a pretty smart person to play it. Or at least to come up with the strategies that you do. Or take Clash of Clans for an example. We watch the World Championships, and you see the absolute precision and mastery of the game that these people have because of how much time and effort they put into mastering it.
Whereas, we definitely sound like nerds right now, but trust me, competitive Clash of Clans is a very precise game that I never thought was that serious. It's a different game.
Like, I've never thought about this, but when you take anything to the extreme, it becomes a different thing.
True.
Like any sport, any game, anything, once you take it to the highest level, it's not even the same thing.
Well, yeah, when you take it competitive, it becomes a very different story. Like, for example, take Overwatch, okay? This game is just fun. You're running around, having fun with your friends, just a casual team shooter. Now you put us into competitive, and now what? There are certain characters you can't play, certain characters you have to play, because otherwise you're just going to lose. And at that point, I think the reason why the game changes is because winning is more important than just having fun playing the game.
Yeah, because now you have something to lose.
Exactly.
You have your ranking to lose.
There are stakes.
So that's why people will definitely put more in, is because they don't want to lose something.
Exactly. And also in terms of gaming, I do see some of your counterpoints that, first of all, it does help certain children with developing hand-eye coordination as well.
Yeah, exactly.
There are definitely some skills you develop while gaming. But as you continue to grow older and you've developed all these advantages, as you've exploited all the advantages from gaming to the fullest, had fun with your friends, built up that hand-eye coordination, some critical thinking, creative thinking, strategy, all these skills, once you've built them, now what? Now you're dumping hours into a game that is not really yielding you anything unless you're making content about it, unless you're streaming, unless you're making YouTube videos, right? That's the truth about video games. And it's difficult to deal with, especially during a time like this, because we're on break. We don't really have a lot to do, but we still try to stay busy. But even in the time that we try to stay busy, whether it's running to the gym, going to, working on a business, whatever it is that you're doing, it's still hard to avoid the game because you have so much free time right now. Mm-hmm. It's when you have the free time, that's when the distraction will fall into place and you can't break out of it. Right? That's the truth. And that's what we've been dealing with the past week. I wouldn't say that it's as bad as the average player, but whenever we're free, we just sit down and play a few games,
Yeah, and I'd say that, of course, it's kind of a bit of a corny statement. And that's that you have to find balance. Yeah, I said it. I know everybody's heard it before.
I disagree. But okay, let's have this debate right now.
What?
Let's talk.
What are we debating?
You say that let's hear your points for why you think you need to find balance. Go. Fire off.
What? Okay, well, in life, there's no such thing as 100% work. And that's probably the stupidest sentence that anybody could ever utter. Because 100% work is literally working yourself to the point of death. And that's not worth it. Because the truth is, if you put everything into your work, you leave no time for anything or anyone else. And the biggest regret that many successful people have is that they didn't spend time or enough time with the people that they loved. Think about any workaholic. When they're on their deathbed, their biggest regret will never be, I wish I spent more hours at the office. It will always be, I wish I spent more hours with the people that I love and the people that I care about. And maybe you could say, oh, well, video games doesn't do that, but 90% of the population, actually, I don't want to just pull a statistic out of
high percentage
of the population, they hop on video games to play with their friends. And there's not a lot of people that play by themselves. I'll admit, hey, I'm guilty of playing a solo Fortnite match every once in a while. But for the most part, I like to hop on and play with my friends because it's not about playing the game. It's about being with the people that you care about.
Okay, now let me demonstrate some of my counter arguments here. Okay, balance is essentially saying that there is a degree of evenness between what you're doing. Okay, a degree of evenness between your work, your social life, and your friends, and having fun. Okay, but this changes when you consider what your goals are. Where do you want to go? So, for example, for us, if we want to become super successful, we have to be able to sacrifice that balance, right?
No.
Yes, listen, let me
Okay,
finish,
I'll
okay?
let you finish. Sorry.
Think about any person who's ever talked about being obsessed with what they do. Obsession. Look at Kobe Bryant. Look at David Goggins. Look at, I'm not going to say that because that's the quote of the day, but look at those two, right? Those two are great examples. They both lost so much, whether it's connections, friends, family time, partying, whatever it is, you name it, they probably lost it to go train. Kobe Bryant's in the gym training before people get into the gym and after they leave. David Goggins running hundreds of miles every week, let's say, and still going to work, working a 9 to 5, biking from work. Complete sociopathic behavior to anyone who says you need balance in your life. But the truth is, to be the best at what you do, to be the best, number one, you have to be obsessed. You have to take it to the point where there is no balance. But when you finish, when you finish reaching that pinnacle point, then maybe you can tone it down a little bit and have some fun. But I think until you get to a high enough point of success, there's not really time for you to relax or find balance.
Well, let me tell you something. You want to know what the biggest problem with that is? Is that every step of the way, you feel no happiness, which goes against what we're preaching. What we preach here is that literally the title of, I think, episode 3 is literally love your journey. And if you're not taking the time to enjoy the journey, to smell the flowers of life, is that really what you want to do?
Okay,
and also, let me tell you something. Balance is not the same as equilibrium. They don't need to be 50-50. Doesn't need to be you work for an hour so you play for an hour. No, you can work for 5, play for 1. It doesn't need to be the same. Balance is not necessarily making sure that this, I mean, again, I think it's kind of contradictory to the physical definition of balance.
That's what I was going to say.
But I'd say the spiritual or mental definition of balance is not simply 50-50. You could work a hell of a lot more, but that, like, suppose the 5 hours that you work, suppose that makes you feel like, I'll say this sad, but that 1 hour that you play makes you feel this happy. Or wait, they would be equal, is what I'm saying, right? Is that you're this sad from working, you're this sad from, or this happy from playing. It evens out, but it's not about the time, it's about the emotion.
Okay, well, here's what I'll say. I think that I agree with your point there, but let's talk about when it comes to the journey and being obsessed with it. Okay, look at Kobe Bryant, okay? He's obsessed with basketball. Do you think he's in that gym training for hours after everyone because he doesn't want to?
Yeah,
Because
no,
he's
I
not
don't
happy with it?
disagree. I don't disagree.
So I think that when you find the thing that really makes you happy to just do it, being obsessed with it and leaving behind the balance of playing games or scrolling on social media.
But that's what I'm saying is not everybody gets to do what they love. That's the truth. In this world, most people, majority of the population, will not be able to do what they love. That's just the reality. But no matter how you slice and dice it, that's just true. Now, that's not saying don't go out there and chase your dreams. Everybody should. There's not a single person on this earth I'd ever recommend to not. That's a bad statement. I'm not going to finish that statement. If you're planning on doing something negative, then don't chase your dreams.
But if you're going to influence the world in a positive way,
Go for your dream. I'd say that's the most important thing. But the truth is, like, for example, on the steps to get to your dream, like your dream job, for example, let's say you want to be a doctor and you're going through med school, and med school is tough and it sucks, and it's really making you feel bad. Now, I'm not saying, hey, if you're a med student, just, can your homework, go ahead, just go play video games all day. No, of course not. That's stupid. You should prioritize studying. But there's a level of balance of, hey, take my mental health into check. Because the people that leave it out of check are the people that end up the worst. You think that all the serial killers out there had balance in their life? No, they didn't. That's why they went insane. That's why they did the things that they did. It's because they couldn't control themselves because they didn't have that inner balance, that peace within themselves.
This podcast is just going to turn to a montage of rebuttals, debates, and me consistently saying that you have some pretty good points.
I know, I'm pretty good at explaining my side.
Yeah. I mean, still, I definitely agree with you more than I did before. But at the end of the day, truth is, you do need a degree of, I'll say, yes, the physical concept of balance is unnecessary. But the mental concept of feeling good about your journey is important. Yeah. Because like we always say, you got to love the journey. You have to enjoy climbing those steps on the tower to success, like we said last episode. At the end of the day, if you're not happy doing those things, I'm not saying you have to be happy 24/7, but at least to be happy making progress in life, I think that's a great gift that we were given.
You know, one thing that I did want to say is we've talked about this analogy before, and it's about balance. And it's that imagine that life is a really dark tunnel. You're walking through this dark tunnel, and you have a flashlight. Now, if you set the flashlight too broad, you'll be able to see almost everything, but it'll be so dim that you can barely tell what you're seeing. Now, if you laser focus that light, and you see one thing, like one diamond at the end of the cave, all you'll get is that one diamond. But if you find the middle, that middle point, that balance, where now you can see your goal, you can see it clearly, but you can see all the diamonds that are around you. If you go through life with the same mindset of, hey, I see my goal, but look around and see the things, the beauty that's around you right now, those hidden gems, those moments, those experiences, the memories that you need to cherish, look around right now. Because I guarantee you that if every person paused this video right now and looked through their life, they would find at least one diamond, one moment, one memory, one experience that is stuck in their mind that they really, really love, that they cherish, but they don't recognize it because they haven't been looking at it.
Damn, that was good. That was really good. Yep, that's very true. All right, I concede. I concede. Fair point. But you know what? That's a very powerful lesson there, is you'll see us debate about topics a lot that we may disagree on. But one thing is, number one, you can't be afraid to admit when you're wrong. Exactly. Because otherwise you'll never learn. I'm looking at you, buddy. I'm looking at you.
I'm a bit of a tough nut to crack.
Indeed. Yeah. But number one, don't be afraid to admit when you're wrong, because you're going to be wrong a lot in life. That came out very weird. I don't know why I said it that way.
No, that's true.
But you're going to be wrong very often. And more importantly, if you can't understand the other person's side of things, you're going to miss a lot of gems in life, whether it's a conversation with someone or a revelation in life that you would have found if you actually listened to what somebody was saying. That's why I think that the people who dismiss a lot of online influencers immediately because they say one stupid thing, or that they say one thing that doesn't align with who they are or what they believe in, I believe that is a moronic way to live your life. At the end of the day, you should be learning constantly. That's what life is. It's constant growth. Look at any animal or plant. They never age backwards. I mean, maybe there's one or two rare cases, but overall, life ages forward. You're never going to go back. So the truth is you're constantly growing. And so your mindset, your views, your perspectives have to be constantly changing and looking at things differently, learning new things. So to walk through this tunnel of life properly, yes, look at all those gems around you, but also don't lose sight of that diamond at the end of the cave that you have to reach at the end. Because if you get caught up on one on the side, you walk too far off your course.
You're going to lose sight of your final goal.
Exactly. And then what? You don't hit it. And then when you finally make it out of the cave, you realize, man, that one diamond I was looking for.
Never found it.
Never found it.
Because you got too distracted.
Even though it was right there in front of my eyes, I walked right past it. And that's why I'm happy that we seized the opportunity to come out here and record these, post these, make a difference. Because we could have gone our entire lives without ever making this. And yeah, maybe we don't blow up. Maybe we don't get 100,000 subscribers. Maybe we don't reach millions of views. But if I can change one person's life,
that's all that matters.
That's all that matters. And I think that's something to be happy about. And more importantly, I feel like this is one of my purposes. One of the things I was built to do. We always love speaking. So the second I realized that, hey, we can do this, I put everything else aside.
You know what's crazy to me?
Mhm.
Is that people don't think that the fact that you could change one person's life is so huge. People think that to make change in the world, you need to reach every single person on the planet. But the truth is, again, we've talked about the domino effect of helping one person and how far that could go. So take the time out of one day to not be too caught up in your own life to help somebody else out.
And the funny thing is, everyone gets so caught up in their own issues, so enthralled in their own problems, that they seem to forget that majority of the population is dealing with the same issues. The same things that you're going through right now, somebody else out there is experiencing it too. So think about it. What if somebody magically walked up to you one day and fixed one of your problems or made you feel a little bit better about your life right now? That would make a drastic difference. You know, guys always talk about how crazy it is when somebody compliments them. They remember that for years. So imagine what difference you could make if you did something nice to somebody today. Just took a few seconds out of your day and did something nice. You don't know the kind of impact that could have on them. And more importantly, what if they go and do something else that's nice?
Exactly, and it just keeps going.
It's a lot like paying it forward in the drive-thru. I saw that happen once or twice. It was actually very interesting, yeah.
That's really nice.
It was very nice. I mean, tragic when it has to end, but at the end of the day, I'm not going to pay for someone who's $50, you know?
No, have you've seen the clip of that guy, and he pays it forward, and he drives into the drive-thru, and then he orders like 55 burgers, 55 fries, 55
Oh,
tacos.
yeah,
That clip, it's so funny.
That is funny.
I don't know, that just came to my mind, I guess.
That's
But-
interesting. Oh, that's crazy. That just sparked a very interesting idea in mine.
Yeah.
Okay? Your mind comes up with its own distractions sometimes. But it's almost not a distraction if you use it right. Think about that. That moment, that reel that flashed in your mind. You could consider that a distraction from the conversation we were having. It was almost, well, not necessarily unrelated, but it's not really related to the topic that we're trying to discuss. But if you use it properly, you talk about it the way that it's supposed to be talked about, and you bring that thought into fruition, now what? It's no longer a distraction. It's actually a talking point for this episode.
What's interesting?
Mhm.
Roots back to the number one distraction ever. Social media.
Okay.
And you know what's so scary about social media? Is people think that, hey, I'm on social media, I'm being well informed. Because people think that they're getting all this news information of current events from social media. The scariest part is the fact that everything they give you it's all algorithm based. It's all meant to be what you want to see. And the truth is, people make bad decisions when they only see what they want to see. We make the best decisions when we see the things we don't want to see.
That's a very good way of putting that.
Like, for example, let's say you're in a war and you see the soldiers taking over this, they take over this battle point. Like, you're like, yeah, let's go. I wish I was there. I could, go and march with my soldiers. But then you see the soldiers shooting each other, killing each other. And you're like, damn, would I really want to be on that battlefield? Would I really want to take another person's life to get to this so-called, amazing place? No, you wouldn't. That's the truth for most people. And it's that what you see, that is what causes you to make your decisions.
And think about it. Social media is so detrimental in that aspect because, like you said, it shows you what you want to see. And there's a theory in, I believe it's psychology, called confirmation bias. I believe that most people know what this is, but confirmation bias, for those of you that don't know, is the tendency to put a bias or an emphasis on evidence that supports your current perspective.
Yeah.
Not something that disagrees with what you already believe in.
That's why I'd say the number one, this is something that is so obvious. And I'd say, as somebody that, I enjoy debating a lot. And one tip I would give to people is stop looking for everything that's right with your theory. Start looking for what's wrong. And that's what they do, for example, in science. When a scientist proposes a theory, people don't go and look to prove it right. Everybody tries to prove it wrong. Because if you can't prove it wrong, then it's airtight. Same thing with reporting. That's what they do for news stories. Is that, I think nowadays it's getting a bit icky with the news.
Indeed.
And I don't know.
Because interestingly enough, the news is the opposite of social media. They don't actually. That's a bigger conspiracy, but the news doesn't show you what you want to see. The news shows you what they want you to see.
And by they, we mean the government for the
Indeed.
most part.
Yeah.
And that's not like saying that the government's trying to brainwash us for the most part. It's that mostly all media, like in the
Is
news,
controlled.
is controlled by the government. And I'd say there are some good reasons for that. I don't think that there are there are certain things that should be covered by the news. Like for example, I mean, actually, I don't really know what the government censors, but I'd assume that there are certain things that, hey, we don't want to put this on the news. That's okay. Like I don't see a problem with that. But when you start censoring a lot of big things happening, that's where it becomes scary.
Here's the thing.
Mm.
I can say this because we're a small channel right now, and it's not going to severely impact us. But it's something that Joe Rogan also said, okay? And it was funny enough that I realized this. What plagued us for the past 3 years?
COVID?
COVID-19.
Oh, God.
Serious
yeah.
pandemic, okay? I swear I'm not an anti-masker. I'm not a conspiracy theorist, okay? Just putting that out there, disclaimer, all right? I'm not. This is just an observation, an astute observation, if you will. COVID-19 plagues us for 2 to 3 years. Stock market crashes, shortages of everything. Everyone's panicking. Everyone's dying. Oh my God, it's the end of the world. Then what happens?
Just disappears.
Ukraine starts getting attacked by Russia. So now there's a big story. Now there's a big global conflict. And now all of a sudden,
It's-
COVID-19 vanished.
You know, that's interesting because, like, you could say that what they wanted is to not just immediately just, like, blip it away out of the news because people would notice, like, yo, like, you guys were giving updates, like, 2 seconds ago. What happened?
Mm.
Versus now there's something new to follow. I think it's an interesting topic. I'm not going to side with either side
Mhm.
or say anything like that.
It's just an observation. It's not
Yeah.
really a critique of the government or
Mm.
saying that the government is out to get us or anything. It's
And
just an
I
observation.
think that's very important is that you should make plenty of observations before you make a point.
That's
You
very
know,
true.
Look
very
at
true.
all the evidence because people get blindsided by not looking at the evidence. They just take this little snippet of what they want and they're like, boom, I'm gonna make my decision based on this, which is biggest case. I think we've talked about him before on the podcast, Mr. Tate himself, where he constantly says stupid things out of context, and people take that clip and be like, boom, we got him. He's a misogynist for saying this. But then look at the whole thing, and guess what? It's not so misogynistic now.
It's a slight controversy involving him because I believe he does that on purpose. He's a very intelligent guy. He does it on purpose so that
I'd
it
say
can be
maybe.
taken out of context.
I mean, I'd say maybe, because again, he could have just done it, and then now he's saying that he did it on purpose.
That's true.
Like, that's the thing is nowadays it's very hard to find things you can trust because everything is a game now. And especially like with the newer age of, for example, content creators. And I know that we're becoming content creators now, but a lot of new ones popping up nowadays, a lot of things are staged and they're fake.
Mm.
And before, back in the early days, before it was about getting views and getting money, it was just put whatever you want out there. And people put up real things. Nobody put up fake pranks.
People put up what they were passionate about.
Mm.
And I think the world becomes a better place when you do what you love. I'm not doing this to make money. I'm not doing this to get 1,000 followers and be famous. No. I'm not going to let it get to my ego, and I'm not building my ego based on my media presence. I'm doing this to make a difference, and I'm doing it because it's what I love. I love talking, and more importantly, I want to help other people. That's my life goal.
You know what's really interesting to me is that, again, it comes back to the topic of you can't be too overconsumed in other people's lives. And it's a big problem nowadays because people will walk around and they will judge every single person that they see without knowing anything about them. And I'd say that's one of the biggest distractions in life is that you're getting caught up in everybody else's life. And it's from a movie. I don't know the movie, but it's this guy and he's playing darts. And he says, back in elementary school, all these kids used to bully me. They used to make fun of me. And there was a quote, and it says, be curious, not judgmental. And when you go about your life, instead of seeing somebody who like acts a certain way or looks a certain way and thinking to yourself, oh my God, that person's such a loser, what a weirdo, I hate that person. Maybe think, who is that person? Behind the walls of life, behind their own closed doors, what kind of person might they be? Because the truth is, you miss out on the gems of life by making decisions before having observations.
Well, it's funny that you say that because it goes two ways.
Hmm.
First is prejudice and racism. That's one thing, is
Yeah.
having that belief on a group of people. But if you break it down to the individual level, I'd say we all make judgments about people the moment you see them, right? And to the people who say that, you know, stereotypes or prejudice will at some point not exist, hate to burst your bubble, but I believe that that is completely inaccurate. At the end of the day, humans are creatures of five senses, okay? And what is one of the most important? Seeing. What we see is important. So when we see something, we analyze it and we make conclusions based on that. But I think the important thing is not to jump to a conclusion
Yeah.
and then treat them differently because of the conclusion you came to.
And also, I'd say, again, it's be curious. Look into it. Stop judging people based on what you see. Like, especially at school, for example. You think that the people that people are at school is who they really, truly are?
Especially high school.
Exactly, especially in high school, because you have this sense of the opinion of everybody else is so important to me. You know, I guarantee you there's probably people out there that'll see this podcast and think we're stupid. Like, everybody has a podcast nowadays. You're not going to make it. Who cares if we make it, man? Maybe we don't, maybe we do. But we go and we put something out there, man.
And
The
more
people-
importantly,
Yeah,
we're having fun.
exactly. And this is not made for every single person. You're not made for every single person. So
Mm.
stop going around trying to be the perfect person for everybody else and not yourself. It's
Damn.
something that Mike Tyson said. He
Very
said,
true.
if you're a friend to everybody, you're an enemy to yourself.
Damn.
And I love that quote because in the end, the most important person is you. And when you go out there and you seek approval from every other person on the planet, but never the guy you see in the mirror, what are you really doing?
Turn your back on yourself.
Exactly.
And I think that's the greatest sin in life, is to turn your back on yourself and live for others. Because think about it. As everyone always says, the most cliche sentence in this lifetime is, you only live once. You will only live once. Really process that. Are you going to spend the one shot you get on somebody else? Are you going to take that one opportunity you have at life and use it to please everyone else? And like I've mentioned before, I've tried that life before. I've done those things before. I believe all of us have, especially when it comes to high school, right? Most of us in high school thought it was a popularity contest. People thought, man, what will this person think of me if I join this club or if I do this class or if I hang out with these people? Everyone was so concerned with what other people were doing and what other people thought about them. But if I and everybody else had just followed our programming for what we were meant to do, what we were really passionate about, the world would have been a better place.
It would have. That's the truth. Because the one thing that you can't do is you can't miss your mark. You can't miss what you were meant to do because you're so focused on trying to do what everybody else wants you to do. And it's really interesting because do you know where the word sin actually comes from?
No, enlighten me.
It comes from archery. In archery, sin means to miss your mark.
Really?
And it's interesting because it says that it doesn't matter whether it's by a millimeter or a mile. They are both the same. They are both considered a sin.
Really?
Yeah, and that's really cool to me because when you take it in the context of religion, people will say that, hey, I didn't murder somebody versus I lied. Or I murdered somebody versus I lied. One sin is clearly worse than the other. But no, they're weighed the same. Is that sinning is sinning. And I'll say that I want to stray away from the religious aspect because this should apply to everybody, is you should never miss your mark. Do what you were meant to do, what you were built to do. Stop being caught up in the distractions of everybody else's life, what everybody else's opinion is of you. Find yourself, your true self, who you really are, and then act based on that.
That's very true. And you want to know why that's important? Realistically, when you talk about a bad habit, as we are talking about on this episode, the focal point of this episode is distractions. Okay? When you identify a problem, what do? First, you see how does the problem arise. We see what the causes are: social media, video games, alcohol, drugs, whatever it is. Those are your causes for a distraction. Now, the next question is, how do we avoid them? How do we avoid a distraction? And why that's important is going back to your point of missing your mark. If you can avoid distractions, avoid that air resistance, or account for it in archery, you'll hit your mark. And a distraction essentially is pulling you away from your mark. It's saying, hey, come over here. Maybe this target is more fun.
Yeah.
But that's not the target you're meant to hit. You're meant to hit dead on. And now you're straying away. So the question is, how do you avoid distractions? My biggest, I'll say, turning point in my perspective was when I reevaluated myself. When I thought, hey, let's take a step back. What did I do today? What did I do in the past week, the past month? And more importantly, what do I want to do in the next few months? Where do I want to be? What is my end goal? When you reevaluate your purpose becomes stronger than the distractions. For example, people who are religious, just an example, okay? Their commitment and faith to God is much more powerful than their tendencies or urges to sin. That's why they're able to stay straight onto the mark and continue to live as a righteous person. So the question for you is retiring your parents, becoming financially free, helping your cousins back home in the impoverished country that maybe your parents came from, is that more important? Or is hopping on playing Fortnite with the boys every night for 3-4 hours past when you should have gone to bed more important? Or is going out partying, getting wasted more important? You tell me. And then decide what you're going to do today, tomorrow, and the day after.
You know what's really interesting is I think that if there's one thing that I'd say that everybody should draw from religion, it's from a specific religion. We grew up on Buddhism. And one cornerstone of Buddhism is the Four Noble Truths. And that is, one, the first truth is suffering. Suffering exists. That's like, what is the suffering? Number two is the cause of suffering. It's pretty self-explanatory. 3 is the end of suffering. And then 4 is the path to suffering. And path to the end of suffering. And if you follow these 4 steps with any problem in your life, you'll solve it. Think about it. First step. You literally, I thought when you were saying it the first time, that this is what you were referring to. Because you hit it exactly on the mark. But the first step, what is my suffering? What is my pain? What is my problem? Number 2, what is the cause of this problem? Where did this all originate? Step number 3 is not, people think that it's, okay, figure out what's wrong, then why is it wrong? And then you start moving. But no. First, you find your goal. Then you find the steps to your goal. It's far harder to jump into the bush without knowing what's on the other side. You need to know where you're going to go. It's something that you told me, is that a sailor never...
If you don't know what port you're sailing to, how do you know what wind is favorable?
Thank you. That is such a good...
I'm laughing very hard because I'm thinking about who said it. Do you know who said that quote?
No.
It was one of the Trend twins during one of their workouts.
Actually?
It was so
That's
funny
crazy.
because he says it. His brother's crushing it on, I think it was leg extensions, and he's like, if you don't know what port you're sailing to, how do you know what wind is favorable? And he's just like, what are you saying, man?
That's a hard quote.
It
though.
is such
That's
a good
hard
quote. Such a good quote. That's where I
Such
heard
an
it.
Amazing quote. But I'd say you need to know the goal first. Then you take your steps. And I'd say if there's one thing that you want to draw from religion, I'd say that's something you should take a look at in Buddhism. And I'd say it's really interesting on the topic of religion is, again, it's the overconsumption in other people. And I see it, I don't know why, as of late, I've seen a lot of people debating, like, Christianity versus Islam. And I see these people, and they're all yelling at each other, and then the people in the comments are all yelling at each other, and I'm like, is this really what your God put you on this earth to do?
Either God, whichever God
Exactly.
you believe in.
Do you think that they put you on this earth to argue with other people? No.
Especially about their existence.
Exactly. For example, I'd say I wasn't around, but when Jesus was around, he probably didn't tell people, hey, you're wrong, I'm right, listen to me. He put out what he believed. And he said, listen, if you're going to follow me, but I will be here. In the same way, when people go out and they preach religion, it shouldn't be about proving the other person wrong or proving that I'm right. It should be I'm putting my faith out here. I'm extending the olive branch. I'm extending a hand. you're slipping. And we believe you're going to fall into hell if you don't, join the religion. So we're sticking out a helping hand. But in the end, these people need to realize that it's up to the person. If that person wants to grab your hand and be pulled up, be saved, it's their choice. That's the critical thing. This is something that a lot of villains have forgot. And that's that you can't help somebody that doesn't want to be saved. Case in point, I was searching for the expression there. Case in point, Thanos. He went around helping people that didn't want to be helped. That was his issue. Because if people were asking, I don't think a lot of people would be asking to get half their planet desecrated.
Well, no, but I think if people were asking, Thanos, help us, we're having a shortage of resources, we're having a shortage of food, water, whatever it is, life is becoming a struggle.
Yeah, provide us a solution.
Then
he's not as bad of a guy. Do I still think that the genocide of half of a population is okay?
Well, half of the universe, but yes.
Well, population of the universe. It's the same thing.
I get you said half of a population, implying that there are several populations.
Because sometimes he'd go to planet and just murder half the people.
Well, yeah, but the universe encompasses all of it. That's why I said that.
Dude, he did. Oh my god. Okay, we're not debating this. I don't know why that. Okay, that was stupid. But anyway, sure, half the universe. Okay, they didn't ask for his help. That was his issue that he didn't realize, is that they weren't seeking it. And if somebody's not seeking your help, you can offer it as much as you want. But if they're not willing to take the step, nothing you can do about it.
I know. But at the end of the day, it is a bit of a tricky or slippery slope to walk because there are a lot of people out there who are preaching on the streets and stuff like that. But the reason they do that is, at the end of the day, if you're never exposed to something, you can't go to it. If you never know, if you never know if it's there, you'll never go there.
Which I think is something that we talked about on one of our test episodes, like in our old studio.
Oh, yeah.
We never uploaded. And also, we do have I think we have 2 episodes.
We do.
That we never uploaded.
Archived.
We archived them because they were like really bad quality. Maybe if we hit a specific goal.
And if you guys wanted to see them, I wouldn't upload something that people don't want to see.
But like they're already done, edited and everything, but they're just sitting there collecting dust.
And they use the old logo too, which is funny.
Oh, yeah.
But that's the thing. At the end of the day, at the time, I was really upset with the quality of it. I said, man, maybe I won't start this podcast because of how much we suck, how much our setup was, how terrible it was. But at the end of the day, when you make a certain level of progress, even now, I look back and I think, that was pretty funny.
Yeah.
It's pretty funny.
And, wait, I'm trying to figure out what I was saying.
We were talking about religion and how they were.
Yeah.
outside.
Okay. Yeah. This was a question that you actually asked me, and that is, you say that the way to get into heaven is to accept Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior. What if you never know that Jesus Christ exists? If some kid on the other side of the planet who has no social media, no nothing, has never known what God is or what religion is, would they go to heaven even if they live a righteous life? They do as much right as they can. They live a good life, but they just never knew about the existence of God. Does that kid or whoever deserve to be punished?
What's his name? The guy who goes around and preaches Christianity and has conversations with university students. You're talking about him.
Cliff. I don't know about if that's his first or his last name.
I'm pretty sure that's his first name. But anyways, he was also on George Janko's podcast
yeah, I've watched
lately.
that episode.
I haven't yet, which is interesting. I
great.
want to. But one day, hopefully, I can have a conversation with him and ask him that question. Or George, too. I'd be interested to ask either.
You know what I'd say to a lot of people is if you're atheist, go out and listen to people of religion, people that preach religion. Because, again, it goes back to the saying of look at what's on the other side. Don't be so focused on what appeals to you. Look at what doesn't, what goes against
crazy?
what you're saying. Yeah?
It's the same. Funny enough, the analogy of being in a diamond mine with the light also applies to this, because if you're only focused on that one gem at the end of the mine, you'll miss some existential revelations that are hidden in the rough around you, right? So if you expand your scope of vision just a little bit, now you'll see maybe religion was for you after all.
That's why I believe that people need to be far more open-minded in the world. A lot of people become more and more closed-minded, especially with social media, actually, which is so interesting because it's almost masked itself as a way to open your mind by exposing you to tons of different things. But really what it does is it creates these bubbles where you will constantly see the things that you want to see, and it just reinforces your thought, which in the end just makes your mind far more closed. So instead, you should go out there and look for the things that you disagree with, because those things are definitely going to make your mind far more open.
Exactly, 100%. But at the end of the day, don't go searching too hard for things to disperse your energy on. At the end of the day, there still has to be a degree of focus. There still has to be a degree of, hey, that's where I want to be. Don't forget that.
There has to be a degree of balance.
Okay.
Circled back to it.
Okay, calm down, buddy.
But that's the truth, is that you can't be, again, diamond mind. This is a diamond mind of an example here of this analogy. Is you gotta have that brightness just on a perfect level.
That's true.
And
That is
it's
fair.
going to be difficult to find that. And I think that in your life you will vary from one end to the other and back and forth a lot.
Mhm.
But I think eventually once you find your groove, you'll definitely be able to zone in on where you should be.
Exactly. But at the end of the day, biggest thing is you need to eliminate distractions. You need to stay focused, but also don't be afraid to expand your scope a little bit and enjoy life a little, you know? And last week we were talking about a book to recommend. So this week I'll give another recommendation.
Oh, I already know which book. Well, I have a book to recommend. I was going to do this too.
Okay,
That's kinda
interesting.
crazy.
All right, let's say it on 3. Okay, your book and my book. Okay,
Okay.
3, 2, 1. Atomic
Atomic
Habits.
Habits.
That's crazy.
Crazy.
That is actually
That's
crazy
wild.
because
Yeah.
I didn't tell you I was gonna
Yeah,
say
I know,
that.
we didn't talk about it.
No,
but
and the
I
thing
really
is,
wanted to say that. Yeah.
Atomic Habits is not. It is good for eliminating distractions and stuff like that, which is why I put it in here. But
it's even better for building habits too.
100%. So if you haven't read Atomic Habits, I know it's a cliche read, but
It's a good
it's a very, very good read, and it helps you understand why humans have tendencies to do bad habits, even though we know that
and
they're
it
bad.
teaches you very well how to break bad habits.
Mhm.
And also, it's not too long of a book. Probably could take you, like, if you're leisurely reading it, maybe a week to read it. Like, if you
Yeah.
don't read that much, it's a very short book. So I'd say definitely it's a
Pick it
great
up.
read. So just
Give
buy
it a
it
shot.
off Amazon. Go to the library. I don't know if people go to libraries anymore.
That's
Yeah.
crazy. We need to talk about
Yeah,
that
I
another
know.
day, the outdating of
definitely
certain
will.
systems. But in terms of a book, that's definitely a good one because it helps you eliminate the distractions. And more importantly, it helps you make the distractions not appetizing anymore,
Yeah,
right? It makes you feel
Yeah,
bad about doing
exactly.
them, which is what it should do.
Exactly, because the biggest problem with distractions is that most of them feel pretty good.
That's very true.
It's about the pleasure. That's why people get distracted and they stray away from their goals, because your goals are usually pretty tedious and hard to do. They probably are pretty painful.
And that's why I say that there has to be a degree of obsession to your goals, because if you are obsessed with it, if you really think this is what I want to do, this is what I want to do, this is what I was meant to do, you are much less likely to fall into the pitfalls of distractions, whether it's scrolling, gaming, drugs and alcohol, or simply partying every other day.
Yeah.
You're much less likely to fall into those if you're focused, if you're zoned in, if you're obsessed with what you were meant to do.
And if you're disciplined. I'd say that's one of the biggest words, because that's something that we lack nowadays in society a lot, is discipline.
Very true.
And understanding that it's about doing it every day. It's about getting up, regardless of how you feel. You got to do it.
Yeah,
But
very true.
in the end, I don't know what's in the end. I'm going to say that this is the end of the episode. So thank you guys so much for tuning in to episode number 6 of the Brighter Horizons podcast. We really appreciate you guys coming on this journey of an episode with us. But before you go, as always, it's time for quote
Of
the
week. Man, we really botched that
Yeah,
that outro.
That was a
But
horrible
hey,
outro,
you
so
know
I
what?
guess-
Again, this is another thing that we talked about on a previous episode. But the truth is, not everything's gonna be perfect. You know, as that one clip of Phantom goes, when he opens the sparkling water, it spills all over him. He goes, "It's okay, no worries. It's part of life. You're gonna make mistakes. At the end of the day, keep grinding, stay focused on your goals, and keep working." But before I leave, like we said, it's time
that
for
the
quote of the week. No, what?
Oh.
No, chill. That was just me dispelling some wisdom, if you will. So, anyways, I'm very excited to see. You definitely know this quote. Many people will know this quote, but it's from a movie. Okay? First movie quote.
Wait. I just want to think about it. Okay.
There's no way you're going to get this. I just know.
Oh,
Okay?
okay, never mind.
Anyways,
My bad.
quote goes like this: I love this game. I live this game. There's 1,000 guys waiting in the wings who are obsessed with this game. You got all the talent in the world, but are you obsessed? Obsession is going to beat talent every single time. And that quote comes from Adam Sandler.
I knew it. I was about to say it, dude. You should have given me like 2 seconds.
Damn, I kind of wish
I don't know
did.
the movie, but
It's from this movie. I think it's called Hustle. Yeah, Hustle,
oh,
2022.
Okay, yeah, no, I've seen it.
So,
Well, I haven't seen the movie, but
Yeah.
I've seen it. On
I mean, I did
Netflix.
move one of the lines around there because it kind of fit a little
Okay.
better. But anyways, that is the quote. So at the end of the day, remember, stay focused on your goals. Don't let distractions fool you, and remember your purpose. And as always,
Live a positive life, y'all. Peace out.